So, welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here for today on the show. What can I say? We're finishing up the week in the most badass and spectacular way because she's back. The incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only Rheagan. Rheagan, how are you today?
Oh, a lot better after that introduction, just like last time. You have a way of doing that, Dan. Thank you. Thank you.
What better way to starting up an epic badass weekend than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? If you are new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot. But also on the description below, you're gonna find all of Rheagan's social media. Let's follow her. Let's share some love and let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Rheagan. And without further more, let's jump in. So, on our previous episode, we spoke a little bit about your career, how you started, what motivated you, a little bit about your projects here and there, right? But for today, we have an incredible upcoming conversation. And I want to starting out with the first question, which is, how has grief or heartbreak shaped the way you create and perform?
Well, there's a lot there. My one-woman show, Stage Mama, came directly from my grief process after my mom passed away last year. So in the more current time of my career, grief has definitely shaped the way I have created this piece, the piece that is most, the closest to my heart. And, there's a lot to say about grieving process and how it is different for everyone. But specifically, for myself, grief has kind of been something that I became sort of well versed in at a very young age. I was about 8 years old the first time I lost some of my family members that were very close to me in a car accident when I was really little. And that, at the time I started acting very young. I was a child actor. So I was currently at 8 years old. I was currently in the middle of, a career, a professional acting career. And I think I learned very early on it was very healthy for me. I can't say for everyone, to be able to apply and process the things that I was going through, even as dark and as deep as grief can go. I was able to experience those things at a very young age and apply them to roles, things I was auditioning for. I was able to sort of apply real life feelings, real life things that are not necessarily fun to feel, good to feel, but they're a part of life. And even though I experienced it so young, because I was also acting at such a young age, I was able to sort of learn how to apply that real life grief and pain to my craft, my art. And I think there was a level of understanding of that at even a really young age. And now, I having this show, and it came entirely out of the darkest time of my life after losing my mom. I lost one of my dearest and closest friends to me in the world in 2021. And I've lost other people that I love very dearly in tragic ways. So, as an artist, I think that, our art is for those of us that do process grief through creating. I think it's the only way for for me. But it has been something that something I'm very grateful that I've been able to use, to have my art, my craft has been a tool for me to process my grief and, all the pain and the heartache that I've had throughout my life. So, yeah.
Do you find that acting becomes a form of healing? Or does it sometimes, deepen the pain before it transforms?
It's hard to say because I feel like acting, the craft, the process of it is part of healing. Doing my show was a fast track to healing for me. And grief is something that is an ongoing thing. It never really goes away. It just sort of ebbs and flows and changes over time. And the creating of my show was absolutely a part of my healing process. But I think that as artists, actors, whether you're even musicians, storytellers, performers. I think there's a relationship that we all have with our audience, and it varies depending upon the performer, live performer, specifically. I think that there's sort of a fine line between using your art as a way how to be able to process and heal without it too. And I don't know how to. It's almost like if you're not performing and you're not creating and you're not, then sometimes you can fall into this, I guess, depression sort of place. But for me, I guess it's like, in order for us to heal, our acting and our craft and what we, whatever it is that we do is so important in our process. But we also find ways to go, okay, even if I'm not on stage, or even if I'm not actively creating something, or even in these places, I am still whole and I am still okay. And I think doing my show, it did the opposite of like deepening any pain. It relieved a lot of pain, and it relieved a lot of my deep wounds that I still was carrying from my relationship with my mom. But I think for a lot of people, for a lot of artists, and I'm not speaking for anyone in particular, but you have to get to a place where you can go back to some of the most painful places before. Like, for some people it could deepen the pain. For some people it could, to reopen wounds, to go back to places that may still be raw, that have been untouched for a long time. Sometimes that can unearth things that someone's not ready to feel, and that's okay. Everything happens when it's supposed to, if you let it.
Tell me, what have been the most important boundaries you've had to set in your career, and how have they shaped your peace of mind?
When you are an actor, there's like this feeling that sometimes you get. I guess it's a not a desperation, but it's just sort of a like, please, anything, I'll do anything. Whatever comes my way, I'll do it. I just want to be on a set, I just want to be on a stage, I just want to be. And sometimes the longer you go between gigs, the lower your bar goes. Like, oh, I said I'll never do this, but I guess I'll take it. And sometimes it's okay to fluctuate that. Sometimes it's okay and things change, and you have to realize that what once you may have thought was something beneath you, like a one line co-star on a TV show, you may have said, I'm done with that. But the industry changes, and or you change, and you may have taken some time off, and you may have to realize that it's okay to do the one line co-stars. I've kind of had to readjust the way I approached my career numerous times throughout my career. There are certain things that I've always said that I'm not certain nudity, things like that. It's like what some people, it's totally cool with them. That's great for me. I kind of go on like a case by case, but I'm really glad that in my past I haven't. We've talked about my peace of mind. It's like I've just kind of always known that that's just something that I look back and I go, man, I'm really glad I never let compromise my own feelings about that just so that I could work. Because there's been plenty of times where, of course, like it's been, hey, Rheagan, do you want to take a look at this? It's this and this. And you look at it and it's still just like, yeah, I picture certain people watching it, or I go, yeah, no, 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 not gonna do it. Sorry. And I am, my own peace of mind is happy knowing that there's nothing floating around out there
I
that
can
I'm not
understand that.
happy about today.
Totally, totally, I can understand that. So, some of the actors that I've interviewed have told me that they're okay with nudity as long as it actually has something to do with the story. You know what I mean? Like it has
Right.
it has like a meaning to it, because they have been, a certain project in which they include nudity. Why? They just put it out like out of the blue, and then it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you know what? It doesn't, unless it
There
has
was no
like a meaning
reason.
behind to it. Maybe, but in case not, then I wouldn't. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and I kind of get it because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's your persona that is out there. You know what I mean? You want to be remembered
Yes.
either for something good or you know what I mean
Right.
here. Like, yeah,
It is, it's your image. And these days, especially now, things can be so, I mean, you don't even have to go do nudity for someone to find for someone to create something of you that isn't is fake, or I mean, it's like these days it's just you really have to be pay even more attention to, I think, who's got a hold of what of you is out there. And it's a crazy time right now as far as the AI and all that stuff goes. I did a film when I was 19 called Extreme Movie, and it was with Frankie Muniz was in it. There was some pretty, like, Michael Cera has a role in there. It was shot of like these tiny little vignettes, like little sketches. It was supposed to be shot in the same vein as the film Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask. And they were going to call it Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Teen Sex But Were Afraid to Ask. But I'm pretty sure they decided that was going to get them a rating that they could not release it into theaters or anywhere else with. So they went with Extreme Movie. And it's very silly. I don't take my clothes off, but it definitely was pushing the boundaries of like things that, like, I was 19. I was like, I'm an adult now. I can do things. And that's like the farthest that I ever pushed anything as far as that goes. But, it's like after that, I was kind of like, okay, I could see like 30-something-year-old Reagan looking back someday and going, why did you do that? That was so sometimes I try to think of my future self, or, especially as a parent too now. That's like one of those things where you think more in terms of being an example, being a role model. Before that, it was like, who cares? And not everything is for everyone. But now I look at things a little more differently.
yeah. It's all about how you want to see things. You know what I mean? Everybody's different, and I
Right.
think that is why life is such amazing because everybody has their own different boundaries. Everybody knows, yeah, like everybody has their own ways to know where they draw the line and where
Yeah.
they not. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. Yeah. Not just like that. We need people out there that will, do things that others won't. And that's the thing, is that for me, it's like, it's not to say that anyone who does is wrong or bad, or it's just
totally,
different
yeah.
than me.
Now, do you think the industry truly respects personal boundaries, or does it still reward those who overextend themselves?
I think every industry rewards people that overextend themselves these days. But I do think that there is more awareness, I guess, to like people's personal boundaries these days. I think there needs to be more in every way. I do think it's getting better. I think things get better as time goes on. I think it's easy for us to sort of look at the most recent headlines or the most, recent events to gauge how bad or good things are. But I think that if you really look at it over time, we have come to more awareness and understanding of what people really need to thrive, be their best. And I think there is more room for people to state their wishes and have them be respected. But at the same time, I mean, there's still a long, long way to go, especially not even just in terms of like the actors, but just the crew, people on sets, the way that they are treated, the way that they're respected. I think that when it comes to people working themselves to the bone, how till they're so tired they're getting in car crashes on their way home after working over ridiculously 12-hour, 13, I mean, really, really ridiculously long days. And it's always just kind of been like, that's how it is. That's showbiz. And that is something that still definitely goes on, because people look at being in the entertainment industry, even crew, all the way across the board, as something exciting and something fun and something that you should be grateful to do, and something that you will sacrifice your well-being, your sleep, something that you will sacrifice your time and your entire being for, because people want it that badly. And so I do think that there is still that a lot of that mindset that people will take from you everything they can get from you a lot of the time, because in the name of, but you get to be on this thing, you get to work with these people, there's an opportunity, that there's a chance that you might be able to, if you say no to somebody, that you could burn a bridge, or if so that does still exist. And I do think that I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what all needs to be done. I know there's a lot in many ways, as far as, unionization, things like that that can be done to protect people. But I do still believe that there it is alive and well, that rewards people who, or at least pretends that it's going to reward people for overextending themselves, because the reward a lot of the time, and what I do think a lot of people are starting to realize, it's not, the scales just don't, like, you start to go, well, what is it really worth, like, starting to talk about boundaries, like saying, I know that this thing that my friend is working on may be really great and maybe whatever, but I'm not going to do certain things so that I can go work for free on a friend's, thing that might be, and people just expecting you to do something because, and they may say this might happen and this might happen. So basically, just know what your priorities are, and your priorities should be to take care of yourself, because without your well-being, then you're no good to anybody. But that's easy to say. It's much easier said than done. Not everybody has the privilege of taking good care of themselves these days like we should. So, but yeah, I think this industry does sort of still prey upon people's eagerness and willingness to be a part of this industry at whatever cost. And once they hit rock bottom is when they finally realize, oh, I didn't, all of this that I did really didn't amount to anything other than me being run into the ground and burnt out. And so, yeah, I think there is some of that for sure, a lot of that.
Do you ever fear being forgotten? And if so, how do you ground yourself in those moments?
I think we all fear being forgotten in some way. I think part of what I do is you're when you're an actor, you sort of there is this sort of immortality that you feel comes with it, because you're recorded, you're on film, your legacy will live on through those who continue to watch your projects. And I think that is part of why I love to tell stories, because I think about my great grandfather, who was a cinematographer, who survived the Armenian genocide and became a cinematographer for silent Italian films during the early 1900s. And he's on IMDb with his films from 1912 to 19 like 25. Like, it's crazy. This is my grandmother's father on my mom's side, but he was this cinematographer for silent films, and a lot of the silent films of that era did burn in a fire, that so a lot of them were lost. But I've managed to meet with people on Reddit and do a lot of digging around, and I have a DVD copy of one of his biggest films that he did. And my grandmother was an amazing storyteller, and told me her whole story of marrying my grandfather after World War II and had just ended, and he had come to Italy, and so, as a soldier, and they married right when the war was ending, and then her coming to Texas. And these are stories, these are lives, they are the people that made me who I am. And for me, just telling their stories, telling my story, my mom's story, like what I'm doing with my one woman show, and essentially what I hope to turn into a series I've already been working developing that, but it is a generational story of multiple stories, and I think that the fear, I guess, if that's how you want to put it, of being forgotten, or just the pondering of what that even means. It's like, I know that as long as I continue to tell my stories, that they are not forgotten. And I think that all of our stories are worth remembering and worth, because if we didn't continue to tell the stories of our history, we of course are bound to repeat them again, which I could say a lot about that right now. But I just think that we all carry on, we all continue. Our energy doesn't die, it keeps on going. And for me, I know that I'm doing as much as I can and creating as much as I can, not necessarily to not be forgotten, but just to keep stories alive, to keep the heart of storytelling in itself. To me, it is everything. It is life. And that's everything.
Mhm. Yeah. It's yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just sometimes I think about it too, especially
Yeah.
like before going to bed, I will sometimes let my mind just go freely. And then sure, sometimes I will be like, like at some point we're all gonna die. It's
Yeah.
just the way it is, some
Yeah.
sooner than others, sure, but at the end we're all
Right.
gonna die. And what's kind of the legacy you're going to live up to, right? I think that is kind of scary for sure, right? Because our brain
Yeah.
doesn't want you to kind of accept that, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's interesting.
uh,
My first script, my first version of Stage Mama, I played Death in my original script. This character ended up getting written out, but I had the character of Death originally in my script. And Death, she was like really fun and like really bubbly, and like she wasn't like a Grim Reaper type. Because, for me, I think since I have had a lot of death in my life, especially for someone my age. I guess, I have a lot of friends who have never had someone really close to them die. And I have pondered death, and I've pondered our legacies, and I've pondered so many times throughout my life, throughout various stages of my life, and what that really means to me. And, for me, every single time I lost someone I loved, there was sort of this like at my little cousin's funeral. He was only 6 when he died, and I was 8. And when he was killed, there was they were listening to the Mortal Kombat soundtrack in the car. Okay, that's what was playing, and that was my little cousin's favorite thing. We love Mortal Kombat. That was like his favorite thing in the world, was Mortal Kombat. And so at the funeral, there was of course a lot of beautiful music played, my aunt's favorite music, and then as everyone was exiting the church, it was Mortal Kombat. And everyone was like, oh my God, what is going on? But me and my other friend, Madison, who were, really close with, we got it. We knew it. We loved it. And we were like, yeah, we loved that. My uncle made sure to play that song at the funeral because that was for little Ray. And that, to me, in that moment, we were celebrating his life. We were honoring him. A lot of other older people didn't understand it. They didn't even know what that music was, but we got it. We understood it. We loved it. And that, at only 8 years old, I clocked that it was a shared song. It was music. It was something like that brought finally like a smile, a memory, a celebration of who he was to me. And now every time I hear that song, now every time I think of Mortal Kombat, now it's like, this immediate it's just his life, him, remembering him. He's alive again for that, in that moment in my heart. And I think that every time I've lost someone like that, I've had close, dear friends, relatives, people, and I think that for me, I've always felt like I've been able to take the things that they were and the love that was there, and either create something beautiful from it, or learn something that I can or take something of who they were to me and apply that to whatever it is. That's what I love about being an actor, and my craft that I have is that life is my project. I'm constantly learning things and applying things to my craft and to what I do. Every experience, everything is something that I can take and apply to something I create, whether that's a role that I'm playing or a script that I'm writing. And to me, that is healing for me. But I can only hope, and I have heard that like my show has been so relatable to people because they can relate to the feelings of a complicated relationship with their parents, or losing a parent. And I think our shared experiences and our when we can relate to one another, losing people that we've loved, I think that just what keeps me going is just knowing that I am carrying on. In a way, I'm carrying on a legacy. My mom, my grandma, but at the same time, I'm breaking generational cycles that have been there for so long by speaking the truth about them in front of people. For me, I don't care so much about Rheagan Wallace, that me as a person being remembered for something great. But I do hope that the stories I've told and that the impact that I've made with my art will be something that will carry on through generations. That may sound rather advantageous, whatever that word is. That may sound very like lofty, but that's what I hope for.
Do you feel that artists today still have full freedom of expression, or is it being compromised by the current climate?
Currently there has been a crackdown on what artists seemingly can say without fear of some sort of punishment. Speaking mostly upon our here in the states, with our current administration, and it's scary. It is scary because I think that for those of us who, like I said before, it's easy to see gloom and doom right now. It's like really easy to read headlines and our daily experience. Turning on the TV, there's something new, and I activism is a big part of who I am, and it kind of always has been, in the sense that when I was a little girl in an episode of the TV show America's Most Wanted. They ended up actually catching the criminal that my episode was about, because these episodes were about somebody who would be out in the world still and they needed to catch them, and they caught the guy. And I remember thinking, wow, so I was on a TV show that wasn't just about entertaining, it was also about, I literally changed in real life. They caught a bad person because of something that I did on TV. Like, that's amazing. So I knew the impact that film and television and media and art could have on the real world. And I've always wanted to use my art in a way to create change. And I've always thought that one of our most prized, inalienable rights is the freedom to do that without feeling like you're going to be restricted in any way, like legally speaking. It's a scary time, when you're hearing of, a late night talk show host getting taken off the air because someone didn't like something they said, which personally, no offense to Jimmy Kimmel or anybody, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call him like the end all be all, like bastion of like, you know, it, you know what I mean? He's a late night talk show host that was pulled off the air, and nothing like that had ever happened before, and I think it's, as a comic, as a comedian, as someone who does, you now think twice, because you are afraid that what if someone, takes over my whatever? What if, am I going to be punished for saying or doing? But I do think that we must talk about it and make sure that others know that those things are at stake. Because if you don't know what's at stake, then, you could lose it a lot more easily. I think we've taken it, sort of for granted that we can just, that these things can happen, that, like, by these people. It's always been, oh well, at least, we can talk about it on, we can go watch the Daily Show, we can go watch. Well, I don't know how much longer that's going to be able to happen if things keep going the way they're going right now. On Sunday, my theater friends and some other incredible actors and directors and writers and performers, poets and musicians who are doing this event called Artful Resistance on Sunday, and it's all, to raise money for the Democracy Action Network, which is a group that I'm a part of. But we're trying to bring awareness to the fact that art can be a form of resistance, and that telling your stories, maybe you're not telling a story about, and you're not telling necessarily a controversial story, like my story that I tell, and is just, it's my story, it's my experiences, it's my life. But maybe there are some things about what I've experienced that are in my story that can bring about, I've already had people tell me that it's changed their perspective on some things that they had never thought about before. And I think that no one can take away our ability, no matter what. Throughout history, we have been coming together and telling stories. Theater is almost as old as time, as far as for, modern times. And the reason that our freedom of expression as artists is so, 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 so important, because it's so powerful. Like we were saying, our whole culture, our whole society is, the way I see it, based on stories that we've been telling. Otherwise, how would we even know how to make a how would we know anything unless it was passed down to us from the stories that we're told, whether it be from our ancestors, our tribes. It's all comes from stories and a narrative, and that's why propaganda is so powerful. And that's why they if they can control it, they want to control what we consume. And the reason that they want to do that is because they know how powerful it is. And I think that we all need to be very aware and very vigilant. But I don't think that I think the moment we start to change what we say, how we say it, when we say it, where we say it, that's when they win. Not everyone has the privilege of feeling this way too. I know that there are a lot of people right now who are rightfully scared. Things are happening in this country right now that are genuinely terrifying. And I think that for someone like me, I have to use my privilege in the way that I have it, because a lot of people don't have it, and we can't just look away, and we can't just act like it's not happening. And because I have the privilege of being unafraid in some ways, like, I guess I just sort of feel like, for all of those that can't get out there and say what they want and do what they want freely because of fear of many things that could happen to them right now, I have to. And that's just how I feel. I've always, not to sound self-righteous or anything, but just who I am personally, I've always had a very strong sense of, just if something is wrong, if I sense that something is deeply wrong and I don't approve of it, I cannot be quiet about it. And not everybody, like I said, has that privilege. Some people are forced to be quiet about things right now. And I'm just not going to be, because I just can't sleep at night unless I don't feel like I am unafraid. And art in itself, the way I see it, everything is art. Everything is art. And there's obviously things that are more art piece, but like, I think that we are at a time where live performance and going to see like live theater, stand up comedy, that sort of thing is hope. I do think that it's on the rise, only because the only way you can really stop someone from saying what they want in a live theater is running up and shutting them up. Somehow you can't take them off the air. You can't so as long as there are street corners and as long as there are places for us to speak loudly, I think that'll continue, and I think that it should, and I hope it doesn't get to a point where the only place we have to speak freely without being shut up is, on a street corner. But I hope we can continue to have our freedom of expression. But it looks like we're in a fight for it right now, or in a fight to keep it, and we'll see how far it goes. But I'm in it for the long haul.
I miss the days when it didn't matter either if you support the left or the right. I miss those
Yeah,
days in which you could gather people from different ideas and everything, and it was gonna be all right. But now,
yeah,
and it just gets my attention every day. Like since when now it's super important. Either you are on this side, on that side. You
yeah.
can't be in the middle, right? You can't be in the middle. You
No,
need to be either on this one, on that one. And if you're
yeah,
on one side, the other ones are gonna hate you, and the other way
yep,
goes around, right? And then I'm
yep,
like, but why? You know what I mean? Since when we got so angry and so, yeah, like this idea that either you support me or you're
right,
my enemy. And then I'm like,
yeah,
since when do we go to this really extreme to call somebody an enemy because they think the same, because they think different as I do? Like,
yeah,
does that even make
exactly,
sense? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
it was,
I know.
I remember back when I was a kid, as I was saying, you could see people from different beliefs, different opinions,
Yeah,
different religions, and it was okay. There were some boundaries that you knew that you are not
sure,
going to
yeah,
cross
right.
because it was just the way it is.
There were certain ethics that were respected when it came to debating topics that we all knew we disagreed on. These things aren't new. A lot of these things that everyone disagrees on are not things that we all of a sudden disagree on. They've been going on forever. And it's a lot of it, in my opinion, is put upon us because certain people benefit from us being mad at each other more than mad at the ones who are actually doing it to us. We have to be blaming each other. We can't blame them. We have to be blaming each other. It's like we everything that we consume, social media, all of the even just the what's on TV every time, it's just constantly bad. It's just all bad, and it's all why you should be mad at this other person. It's like I think that there rightfully so, like there should be things to be angry about. We shouldn't just like decide that our anger is no longer useful, or because I think it certainly is still, but at the same time it's time to stop thinking about, like, oh, when I go home to see my family, I'm gonna really make sure I own them on these points if they bring this up. And I think that we should be able to talk about things we disagree on, and then we should still be able to say I love you, and please pass the salt. Like that's that. But it's gotten to the point where we are now friends and family and people that we know we love each other. And if we could just say, hey, I understand that you feel this way because X, Y, and Z, and I feel this way because X, Y, and Z, and I hope that you can still love me even though I feel this way about X, Y, and Z, because I still love you even though you feel this way about X, Y, and Z, and live your life in a way that you can only control your own outlook. And so I have had to come to terms with things about people in my own family, people that have loved me my whole life, things that we have always disagreed on. But there are so many things that we can agree on. But also, it's like we don't necessarily have to agree on things to love each other. There are certain things. It's like, well, yeah, like that's the thing right now, is that it's being portrayed as if some people think that murdering anyone is okay or right, or like no one, no, no. I'm going to use the word normal person thinks that that's right or good or okay on either side of anything. Like, no, I don't know. No one knows someone who thinks murder is okay. Like, I don't know anyone who does. So it's like to see these headlines over and over again of us, of each side trying to make each other out to be like literal murderers. Like, if you co-sign, if you say this was okay, or if you don't like something this person said, that means that you essentially are a murderer. And it's like, once we start talking like that, we really need to go, okay, guys, like, come on. Like, you know that I don't think that. And I know that you don't think that. So why are, well, who has made us feel this way about each other? Because it's not coming from within our own selves. It's coming from external forces that benefit one on us hating each other. Everyone needs to, and I say this as if I rule the world, but if everyone could take a step back and realize that we are not each other's enemy.
Couldn't agree more. I like it. Now you know. Switching to our next section, speed round questions. You know the drill.
Yeah.
You can only answer yes, no, or pass. Super simple. You ready? So, have you ever turned down personal pain into performance?
Yes.
Do you think boundaries make you more respected in the long run?
Yes.
Do you fear being forgotten when you're not in the spotlight?
No.
Has acting taught you more about yourself than you expected?
Yes.
Do fresh starts excite you more than they scare you?
Yes.
Have you ever felt you wasted time on the wrong project?
Yes.
Do you believe patience is one of an actor's greatest strengths?
Yes.
Have you ever considered walking away from the industry completely?
Yes.
Do you feel free to fully express yourself as an artist today?
Yes.
Is freedom of speech for artists under threat right now?
Yes.
Do you believe art can spark real social change?
Yes.
And would you rather be remembered for one powerful role than many smaller ones?
Yes.
Pretty badass. And before wrapping up, tell me, what does freedom, both personal and creative, meant to you now?
Freedom means that I can fully be who I am without feeling like I have to shrink or play small, or I am free to express myself in a way that, trying to live in a way that honors my values and my relationships, and that I'm free to do that in whatever way I want, as long as I, of course, am not hurting anyone else. To me, freedom means not having to live in a way that I am, living, trying to live up to someone else's expectations of what my life should be. And I think that creatively, it's knowing that I can put any piece of myself out there in my art, and without feeling that I am restricted in any way, whether it be because of something my government is going to come down on me for, or because of personal freedom that comes from within myself, to not feel like I have held anything back or restricted myself in any way and been untrue to myself. My personal life and my creative life are both so intertwined, but I think that everyone, as long as we all have the freedom to still discuss the things that we see, discuss the things that we don't like, and discuss the things that we do like, and all of it in between, we should be able to use our voices however we see fit. And yeah, to me, that's what freedom is. I want to be able to live my life comfortably without feeling like something about who I am or anything I've done is going to be taken away. So yeah, I guess I've exhausted
I'll take it.
I've exhausted
Beautif-
that answer.
Beautifully said. I'll take it. And you know what? My last question here. So we can all
Okay.
enjoy and relax after an incredible chat.
Yes,
I
gonna
think
have the rest of our TGIF.
I think you see this one coming, but let's find out. So,
Okay.
what do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
Oh man. Resilience, self-expression, and staying true as an artist.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Uh, you do with that what you want.
I'm gonna keep that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of it's this question is kind of like the signature of chapter 10.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
I know.
nice. I'll
It's
take
cute.
it.
I
Yeah, I'll
love it.
take it. I'll take it. And you know what? At the end, what can I say? I loved the fact what you're doing out there. The other day I saw this post you put on Instagram in which you had like this speech going on. I was like, damn, that's inspiring. I'll take it. Like the
Yeah.
fact that you're going out there to inspire people, the fact that you're raising your voice whenever you see something that is wrong, that's super badass. I do think especially now, the fact that we can rely on people like you who is sure creating cool stuff, but also showing us that it's okay for you to say no and it's okay to disagree and it's okay to raise your voice to it. That is incredible. As I was saying before, I just keep seeing how badass you are here and there because you're making it happen. And I'm super sure there's people out there who not only sees you as an incredible actor, but also sees you as a role model because you get things done. You inspire people out there. You help others. That's incredible and really badass. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That really, that's a lot. That really means a lot to me. Thank you very much. And you're doing great things by, shedding the light on other people's lives and stories. And that's very, very valuable. And I appreciate you very much for it.
Thank you. I do want to thank also those who stayed the whole episode. Now, by this point, come on. You should know why Rheagan is super badass. Let's keep making it viral. #Team Rheagan. And again, thank you for making this happen. Have an incredible upcoming weekend. Keep kicking ass. Keep doing what you do. And I'll be seeing you in the next one.